Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Calling all the fighters, calling on survivors. Are you up all nighters? We can take it higher. Let's do this. Do this. Can you feel the fire running through your veins? Now you're burning brighter. Don't look away. Shout out to the legends rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds. It's out to engines. Let's do this. I know we've got a long way to go. I know we've got a long road home. I know we've got a long way to go. Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Let's do this. Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Let's do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North-South Racing League on Ghostfire Media. Tonight we have the J&G Hardwood Flooring 125 from North Wilkesboro, a track that is unfortunately in disrepair, hopefully coming back. But I'm Josh Laston. With me, as always, is Mr. Adam Wood. Adam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. And hey, I just want to let everybody know this track is coming back. Speedway Charities, they actually have out right now, I think later this month in August, you can go out and drive on North Wilkesboro. You pay like a little bit of a fee, goes to the Speedway Charities event, and you're going to go out there and I think it's like 4 or 5 laps around North Wilkesboro right now. Normally you do it at Charlotte Motor Speedway, either their oval or a road course, but right now they have it set for North Wilkesboro. So come on out and go around this legendary track.
Adam, are you planning on joining for that?
I'm not sure. It's a long drive just to go around for like 5 minutes and then we can drive all the way back.
Well, I'd say it's worth it, but let's go ahead and learn just a little bit more about what we have tonight. This is race 4 of 17. Ignore the fact that it says Irwindale. That the number of times that I have screwed up one little thing in these, it's not uncommon. But this is their 5th trip in the Street Stock League. And right now, Ryan Johnson holds the track record from about a year ago. And he's also won here before. Dante Curtis has 1 win. But Jared Apel, he has 2 wins. And you know what? I'm not surprised to see any of those names.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Apel, he's always a threat. Ryan Johnson and Dante are all threats. So let's see if there's going to be a new winner, though. You know, we've seen a lot of different things this season so far, and let's see if we can get another new winner here tonight.
And you know what? That's what I'm looking forward to. We have not had a repeat winner yet this season, and that is just making it a very interesting point standings right now. Because as we sit here and look, Mike Alexander still reaping the benefits of that double point win to open up the season. But Randy Nichols is currently in second, just having a good, solid, consistent run. And you know what? Ryan Johnson, last season's winner, he's currently running in fifth, but 19 points back.
Yeah, it's a close battle right now, though. These guys, a bad race for one makes up a lot of spots for others. But as Robbie Clavey says out there, we have no Dante or Jared tonight.
And, well, that's going to make this running a little bit more interesting. We currently have 21 drivers out there. And as we sit here, and we'll get back to the standard overhead shot here, these pits are unbelievably tight. There's only a limited number, and I'm pretty sure that there's just enough room that we aren't going to be sharing pit stalls. But still, the amount of space between each car is minuscule.
And, if we come to green flag pit stops tonight, that's going to play into effect. You trying to hit the timing just right to stop, and your pit stall, could be affected by somebody else because of these close pits. So we're going to watch out for our pit roads tonight.
And if we do have green flag stops, that is going to be one of the more interesting aspects. Is this is an old school track to where pit entry, as we'll go ahead and let's see. No, they're both the same, of course. Pit entry is it's right there off of turn 4. So if you're committing to it, you have to get woed up very quickly at what is actually a very speedy portion of this track. And hopefully you call it out so everybody knows. But it is time for us to get down to qualifying. And let's see who is going to be the first one out on track tonight. No takers yet? No takers? There we go. We will go ahead and start off with the resident Aussie, who seemed to be the first one out on track. Anyone that has seen any broadcasts that we have done from North Wilkesboro, these cars actually drive it a little bit differently. You have to sweep entry. You can't really hit the line as early as you do other cars. So these guys are going to be kind of late apexing like you would on a road course, with these looking to get a good run off the corner. And the bump entering turn 3 completely unsettles the car, whereas 1 and 2 you're going downhill and then making the sweep back uphill. These guys, it is definitely, I want to see this come back in real life NASCAR because it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I would love to see maybe the ARCA series, the truck series come here, kind of replace one of the other tracks out there, and see what they can do. I think this would be a unique track for them. A lot of door bangings, a lot of hurt feelings are going to be here if NASCAR comes back to this track.
And that's why I love it. Currently, we're watching Will Eastman, the fastest man in practice. We're going to see what he has as Mike Alexander jumps to the top of the table. And Will Eastman's currently only in 5th. Now he's moved back to 6th as Randy Nichols manages to get himself up into 3rd, and apparently he's just going to run 1 lap. So we'll go along as Bryan Hacker starting his first one. And he's one of those that's getting himself down to that line early. And we're going to see if that works out for him. When I ran some test laps, it wasn't the best because I was out on track with these guys and maybe they were practicing long runs and sweeping it a little bit. But Bryan Hacker up to 2nd right now, 1/100th of a second off of our pole sitter of Mike Alexander. And
We still got a lot of people that need to qualify. We got about half the field needs to set a lap still. So we're slowly coming out right now. So we see Matt Dula. He gets out there that awesome number 17 car.
And he is going to go ahead and set a lap, and it looks like my timing and scoring is having some issues right now, as it seems to do every time.
I don't see him in iRacing as well, setting a scoring right now yet.
All right. That looks to be a little more stable.
There he goes. He just said it.
And that gets him up into third. Let's see if he's able to improve upon it, because we still have the invert yet to come, and he is scooting his way around track. And is he going to be able to improve? No, he was a little bit slower, but we're starting to see these cars trying to get their way around. And the one thing I always find entertaining about North Wilkesboro is these cars seem like they're moving so slow, and yet right now Dustin Shepard's at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's very deceiving. I mean, we're used to seeing cars hit about 150 on the intermediates with these super stock or street stocks here. So, you know, seeing them on a short course, you know, it kind of looks like lackadaisical here with these guys running, but it's solo run. We put them side by side in the group. It's going to look super fast.
Yeah, and that's the big problem that we have here, is these guys, as Dustin Shepard is now our provisional pole sitter, with Ryan Johnson getting his lap in, getting himself currently in fourth.
I was watching Ryan Johnson coming out of 2. He just slid and almost slapped the wall.
And that's one thing that qualifying conduct makes it to where if these guys hit the wall, and Dustin Shepard looks like he's going to go ahead and park it, so we will go out with Jeff Mathis on his first run, gets himself into 18th. So we're going to have to see as time runs out before he has an opportunity to get another lap in. So what we're going to go ahead and do, since we have hit our warm-up, let's see what our invert is going to be tonight. Hoping for big numbers because we haven't seen them so far. But let's see what we've got. And nope, go small again.
We're going to go back small once again.
All right, just the top 3. And this track is without a doubt something that it's not an easy one to pass on. So these guys are going to have to see really what's going on and try to battle. So I was hoping for a big invert because that would make this race absolutely brilliant, to be able to sit there and see these guys have to duke it out.
I mean, but if we're looking at the field here, between 1st and 19th, it's only about 0.3 of a second off for qualifying times. I mean, it's very, very tight qualifying right now. But you said it's still great to see the field to be an invert at, like, 16 or something. But tonight, once again, we're going to roll to number 3 again. And, it's basically Bryan Hacker and Dustin Shepard changing spots. Mike Alexander gets to stay where he's at.
And he is actually in the perfect position. Anytime I have seen a race, been in a race here, you want to be on that outside line because you'll be able to carry so much more speed than that inside, especially if you're side by side before everyone gets up to speed. 100% Mike Alexander. He's in the exact right position to be able to take control of this race early. But we have 3 minutes.
Yeah, they said end of practice here. They're going to wind it up at the end of pit wall. So I don't know what that means. Trying to figure out another tradition here and see what they can do.
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to the carnage, because that's the best part about this being a sim, is You don't have to pay to repair these things.
And bring out team cars, bring out 47 of them per race. Just continue to bring them out. Oh, messed that one up, bring out the next car.
Just keep them coming. That's why you practice with reckless abandon around these kinds of tracks in iRacing, and that's why I love it. Mostly because I am very cheap, and that's why I do not own a race car.
Yeah, I don't think I can afford to fix my brokenness after every race. You know, they are a lot more expensive. You know, iRacing is a very, very expensive hobby, but for the most part, it's kind of a one-time payment per thing, and nothing. You know, you have your computer breaks here and there, but for the main part, you know, you're not breaking stuff and tearing stuff up every week and having to replace it.
Oh yeah, that is the best part is, you know what? And you don't have to commit to a single series because these guys get to run the street stocks, but I run 4 different cars throughout the course of the week.
I got 3. What's your 4th?
I run open wheel road.
Okay. That's something I want to do at some point. I don't know if I want to do. I need to get better roading, but I don't know if I want to do open wheel.
All right, we're getting some turning action, seeing parts fly off of cars, but apparently this is what they mean is we are just going to have a pile up through as everyone's just sliding into one another. Test that damage model and make my computer hurt trying to model all of this, please.
I think it's more of when they get that smoke there involved. That's when it's really going to destroy your computer.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. It's the reason why I have such an expensive graphics card that my wife hates me for. But it makes it to where when we get to watch all of these and watch Ryan Johnson be pushed around with a wheel. Oh, good Lord. Is this what they meant?
They're running a train on Johnson.
And he is looking a little worse for the wear. Maybe they should put a different car at the front of that. All right.
John Cross's wheel in the front didn't have the front left wheel was basically gone.
All right, let's go ahead and see where they qualified before we get this started. In first, we had Dustin Shepard, second Mike Alexander, third Bryan Hacker, fourth Ryan Johnson, fifth Matt Dula, sixth Matt Cook, seventh Randy Nichols, eighth Gary Eschen, ninth Jeff Bergener, 10th Will Eastman, and 11th is Shane Loveridge.
12th is going to be Travis Hoefler, 13th to be Jesse Womack, 14th to be Justin Rigsby, 15th to be Robbie Clavey, 16th is Adam Gable, 17th is Rodney Huntoon, 18th is Jeff Mathis, 19th to be Jonathan Cross, 20th to be Adam, man, butcher his name up. We need to talk to this guy. And then 21st is Gage Killam.
All right, that is going to line us up. It's time for us to get the invert sorted out here first.
It's going to be very hard for these guys.
I know, it's just the most painful one that we've had so far. And we're set. As we're going to have Bryan Hacker lead us to the green, but since the first start is handled by the flag, everybody's on equal footing on where to go. So we're going to see, is that outside line really going to be able to have that kind of jump that we're used to seeing at North Wilkesboro? And hopefully we can get through the first turn relatively clean.
I think so. I mean, I feel this is not a short track, you know. For street stocks, it's kind of like in between a short track and an intermediate for them. You know, it has a little bit longer straightaways for these guys, can actually build up a little bit of speed. Has a little bit of banking for them to carry it through. So I feel that, you know, should be a good race here for these guys tonight.
All right, as the lights on the pace truck are ready to, they are off. It's gonna be peeling off into the pits, and we are ready to go green once we get that flag waving, and we are off. Bryan Hacker actually gets a little bit of a jump. He's going to hang down on that low line. We're going to see if the 75 has that run off of turn 2. He is getting his nose out in front, but wasn't able to get the job done before they got to 3, so that is going to mean that inside line is going to have the advantage. Bryan Hacker is almost clear going through the first lap, and it's side by side, and everybody is staying nice and clean, but the 75 is fighting well on the outside. But as room opens up on the bottom line, we see Ryan Johnson get himself down there, gets a little loose and backs up the field, but we're slowly getting to single file. But, oh, we see the 89 move up just ever so slightly into the 75. That gives Bryan Hacker the opportunity to get himself completely clear. He can run the proper line. The 75 gets a little loose, but 3 laps in the books, and we're actually starting to form back up to 2 wide.
Yeah, right now we see Gary Ashton on the outside of Matt Cook. He's trying to make that outside line work. Alexander up there, Mike, he is trying to stay there. He has nowhere to go into it. There's a spot behind Matt Dula if he can get there, but other than that,
as we see Matt Dula getting a little loose, manages to hang on to it, gets into the grass, checks up that low line, and that's what these guys on that outside up there were looking forward to. Will Eastman's taking a run, trying to get outside of Matt Dula, and is he going to be able to do it? That is going to be the question. Is it Matt Dula may have overcooked his tires there, and he's loving that grass.
He's trying to cool it off, the old school way of cooling your tires off in iRacing was to drop down in grass. Apparently that was kind of a thing back in the day, or one of those rumor mill things that, you just put your tires on grass.
I got to get to the front as we have a battle for the lead. Dustin Shepard gets his nose down below Bryan Hacker, and we're going to see, is he going to be able to get clear, as Bryan Hacker's trying to now force Ryan Johnson out of the way, but he's now below, and Bryan Hacker just gets himself back into third and minimizes the damage there.
Yeah, he closes the door right there on 4th place of Mike Alexander. He drops down. I mean, Bryan Hacker, now he can kind of conserve his tires and try to let them cool down, get those Hoosiers nice and cool, and then go back on the attack on Ryan Johnson and Dustin Shepard a few laps from now.
As jump back to the mid-pack, as this is where we're starting to see that side-by-side action. We got to see John Cross got a little loose going into 1, but he's trying to battle back and keep Randy Nichols from getting himself back down, as we're now seeing Jeff Bergener try to get down below Matt Cook, and it looks like he's not quite going to be able to clear. He's going to throw it in a little bit going into 3. Manages to keep off of the bumper. So we're going to stay green, but we're slowly getting ourselves to single file. Except for in the back here. These guys are just loving that side-by-side action.
And Jesse Womack right now sitting on the outside, or sitting on the inside of Travis Hoefler right now. They are battling side-by-side. Travis is kind of hit the wall here and there, but I like his paint scheme. It's a little bit newer one for us up here in the booth. We got Adam Gable. He's hanging there on the bottom trying to get by. These guys are fighting hard right now. This is for battle between 10th, 11th, and 12th.
As we're going to go back up ever so slightly. A little overzealous with my clicking, but Jeff Bergener, he is just continuing to work Matt Cook, trying to find that speed, but he is just not getting the launch off the corners, as Matt Cook's doing a good job carrying that speed along the outside, but it looks like he's maybe going to be able to get clear and get all the way up to the wall coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, these guys are battling pretty hard right now on these first 14 laps of 100, and now 15 laps of 125. They are really making these Hoosiers sweat right now.
As I'm going to get back up to the front because we have more side-by-side action to where Ryan Johnson got the nose down below Dustin Shepard, and that's going to move him back into second. But Bryan Hacker now has the nose down below. He's going to see if he's able to really get that low line working for him. He's given plenty of room coming out of the corner. But this side-by-side, these guys, I'm starting to think that the street stocks, they're the best car for just about every short track. I have never seen this many moves at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, you don't really see too many moves in other series like the ARCA series or the Truck series. Here, I mean, it's the low line is king, and nobody wants to venture up, even when the tires get older. But here, man, you're able to kind of dive bomb people. You're able to move these cars around, and these things are tanks. You can brush up somebody, and it doesn't really mess them up 100%. So these guys are used to roughing up each other and getting by everybody here.
As we're going to jump back here, I don't know if Dustin Shepard managed to overheat his tires while he was battling. He is getting a lot of pressure from Gary Eschen right now, as we've got Dante Curtis out there. We miss you, sir. Wanted to see you out on track, but sometimes life happens. But he's out there rooting on the teammate as he's trying to hold on to fourth place right now and keep himself in a position to fight towards the end, as Ryan Johnson has opened up a half-second gap up to the front. But now it looks like Mr. Shepard has managed to calm down a little bit, gets a little loose coming out of fourth, slides down a little bit into Gary Eschen. But the only thing I can figure is he overheated as we see Gary Eschen. Beautiful save after clipping the grass. And honestly, that's probably exactly what Dustin Shepard wanted to see, was just a little bit of a bobble to get some breathing room so he can just run his line and keep going.
Yeah, I just clicked to the blimp view just in time to watch that happen in real time. It was pretty neat to be able to see him. I thought he was going around, but he did a heck of a job. I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to be in that position, but he did a great job saving it. He only lost basically 1.5 spots. He was racing side by side with Dustin. He just lost a spot to Will Eastman. Now I guess Matt Doolittle took it over, so technically 2 spots now.
All right, we're going to stay on the blimp because this battle right here, Gary Eschen is doing everything he can to keep Matt Doolittle at bay. And he's running probably the most ideal line, but I got to get back up here as Mike Alexander has a little bit of a bobble that we could see just in frame, and that is going to give Dustin Shepard just that little sniff of hope to be able to get himself back up onto the podium and around the current points leader.
Let's see. Mike Alexander, I mean, he's doing pretty good tonight. He's sitting there in 3rd spot. Dustin Shepard is going to beat on his door, though. He wants to get back up there and get back in the fight.
There's the move. Maybe gives him a little bit of a nudge to unsettle him, but that gives him the opportunity to get down to that low line. But Mike Alexander carries just enough speed through 1 and 2 to be able to get clear, get back moving. But this battle right here, this has opened up the opportunity for Bryan Hacker and Ryan Johnson to run away by over a second at this point. Yes. Dustin Shepard
is putting on a clinic right now.
And Dustin Shepard gets the position, gets himself back up into 3rd, but moving Mike Alexander out of the way opens up the door for Will Eastman to get himself up into 4th. And now Mike Alexander, he's under pressure from Gary Eschen, who, after that little bit of a bobble, now making his way back up through the field and trying to get himself up into the top 5.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to him and Matt Doolittle. They were racing for, I think, 6 or 7. And Matt Dula's dropped down to 9th after that.
And let's see if I can find what happened there. Let's go ahead and, right as I do that, he's making a move. But no, just got the nose down below, and it really opened up the opportunity for him there. But let's get ourselves back live as we're right back where we were.
We got Justin out there calling you out.
Oh, Justin, thank you. Yeah, taking away my podium at North Wilkesboro because you decided to door me and ran out of talent. Did have a broken finger, so I'll give you that one. But, oh, as yellow flies, it looks like Justin Rigsby had an issue. And let's see what we have here. As he goes in hot into 3, the 91 catches what is an actual curb through 3 and 4, unsettles him, and then Justin Rigsby just gets the back of him, and that's all she wrote. Doesn't look like he got any scratches there, but just enough to bring out our first caution of the night, and no surprises, the field's coming in.
Yeah, everybody wants to come and get fresh tires and get a full tank. What field do they use? They don't use Sunoco. I wonder what field do they use here in wonderful Shreestock series.
Well, you know what? If I remember correctly, there is a beautiful Sunoco sign here, so I'm going to assume it is Sunoco race fuel. But from what I was seeing, they were coming up on the pit window anyway. We're still probably going to have one more unless the cautions, as Ryan Johnson gets out. But Jeff Bergener, after, I would assume, a 2-tire stop, or just the most brilliant stop ever.
I mean, he saved 4 seconds there. His pit stop time was 20.05 to Ryan Johnson's 24.82.
Well, that doesn't help me. Well, that doesn't help me either. But he ultimately manages to get himself up into running second. But that's really the only major shakeup that we currently have in the field. But that moves Jeff Bergener up 7 spots. But still 1 spot out of the Hard Charger Award. And that is currently John Cross, who I think just got the waiver out. No. Wait. I'm thinking Matt Cook. Matt Cook. Yeah. Too similar of color schemes, and all these patriotic boys are making it to where I get confused.
Well, it looks like pace truck lights just went off. We'll be going green this time by.
As they're getting themselves stacked up side by side, looking to get a little bit close. And I think we're going to see a little bit more nudging this time around, and some, I won't even call them gentle caresses, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of sheet metal bent in this process. But Ryan Johnson takes the outside line, which is the best option for him. He gets to control the restart. They're bunched up, and he is off. And with that jump, is going to be able to completely clear that inside line by a good 2 car lengths. So we're just going to see side-by-side action back here for second place, as Bryan Hacker is trying to make the outside line work. But the 21 manages to get himself around, not quite clear, so he has to enter low. as now he has it done, and Bryan Hacker is in third, maybe looking to go around the outside there, but Dustin Shepard is back to battling side by side with Mike Alexander.
Right now, Will Eastman has Mike Alexander trapped on the outside. There is no spots open right now for him to drop down into. So Mike Alexander is hoping somebody bobbles, makes a mistake, does something where he can slide in the bottom, because he's on the outside, no man's land right now.
He is leaving no room through the corner on, well, through 3 and 4, he left absolutely no room for Will Eastman to make a mistake. And that was the gentle caressing that I was looking forward to. As we're ultimately seeing Randy Nichols, he's trying to get himself up around the outside of Matt Dula, and Will Eastman's jumping around a little bit with his connection, and that is unsettling.
Yeah, sometimes when that happens, it can be very distracting. You trying to hit your lines. I know Matt Dula is trying to make sure that he doesn't run, he doesn't pop inside the car of him. So it's one of those things.
But the fact that we are continuing to go side by side as far forward as the battle for 5th, these guys with the fresh tires, they are not going to be fresh for that long.
Yeah, the guys in front of them are going to start pulling away just a little bit if these guys continue to run side by side like this. But I give it to Mike Alexander. He's able to keep pace right now with Will Eastman and run them side by side. Will Eastman just wants to clear him so he can just drift more up to the wall and stop eating up his tires.
But, I mean, we also had Matt Dula and Gary Eschen basically doing the exact same thing, because, you know what? Randy Nichols not given any space as Will Eastman manages to finally get himself clear. So we're just going to keep seeing that side-by-side action as caution is out once again. And it looks like that was Jesse Womack, I believe so. Just, comes in hot. Probably had to check up for the 20, and couldn't quite get it locked down, and takes out the 83. That looked like Jeff Mathis in the 6. Oh, that is unfortunate. To where, yeah, Gage Killam, let's quit scrolling as everyone goes back into the pits. Making it to where I keep missing my mark, to where we can just kind of see that as he comes back across the track, where he hit him, that is probably a dead car. It looks like he couldn't even turn it from where he got hit. So as we'll come back, that last caution was lap 33. We have 4 that did not come in there, as now it's 3 as the 27 dives in just a little bit later. But these front 3 rolling the dice at this point, probably hoping for a little bit later of a caution to make their way back around, because I'm not 100% certain that 14 laps is going to make a huge difference here, especially since they have the opportunity to cool the tires down.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys that are running side by side this whole entire time, I would come in and get the tires. But seeing the leaders come in like that, I think I would have stayed out there.
It's early enough in the race that you can take a little bit of a gamble. But again, North Wilkesboro is not the easiest track to pass on, despite the fact that we have seen plenty of great action going on.
It's a hard place to pass, but these guys are showing us it can be done tonight. So in the street stocks here, these guys are putting on a heck of a show. I know they're getting a straight workout from this.
And you know what? As long as they're having fun, that's all that matters. But the pace truck is back in, and Will Eastman wastes no time getting himself up in front of Gary Eschen. But that's going to open up the door for Travis Hoefler to get himself up into second if he is capable of holding on to that low line. But we're seeing all those fresh tires stacking up right behind him, waiting for any kind of an opening. But he manages to slot himself up, and now that's going to open up the door and kind of leave Gary Eschen in the worst place imaginable. But Ryan Johnson is currently being blocked from getting himself up towards the front here, as we're seeing Matt Dula. If he can time this right, he not only will be able to get himself up into third, but be able to bring Ryan Johnson along with him for the ride.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson saw a little bit of a hole right in front of Randy Nichols, dropped down from the top lane down to the bottom lane, and now is trying to get by Gary Eschen and follow suit just like Matt Dula did. And then he gets to start trying to attack the rest of the field. Like he just got that clearance done, and now he's on the attack, trying to move forward and try to overcome falling back here in this pit strategy.
And you know what? It's worth a gamble. He was strong even as we got deeper into that first stint. But at this point, he has made his bed, and everybody is just lining up on that inside line as he gets a little bit of a tap from the 21, gets a little loose, but holds on to it. But now that's going to open up the door for Mike Alexander to get below him, followed by Dustin Shepard. As, the 21 gets into the 75, and the 75 is going to get his nose down below. Hopefully he's not in a retaliatory mood, because that is a little bit rough. But we're going to move up towards the front here, and currently the battle for third as Travis Hoefler is stuck on that outside line with Matt Dula down below, Ryan Johnson behind him, and he is now about to get Matt Dula cleared of him, but he dives it in deep, and Matt Dula is a little squirrely as he brushes up against the 38, and he is doing everything in his power to hold on to that final podium spot.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson saw that bobble drop down pretty low there, going down the back straightaway, and try to find an opening and to get underneath him. Matt Dula said no, blocked that little attempt, dropped back up, and now is pulled about a car length away from him.
But now we're seeing that stacking up. It's kind of getting alleviated as those fresh tires have fallen back, with the exception of Will Eastman, who is currently at the front of the pack. But the story that I've got right now is Mike Alexander, looking strong early, is now kind of fallen back. He's had a little bit of bad luck with where he's been restarting, but he's slotted back into 8th after starting 2nd.
Yeah, Mike Alexander, I mean, he's trying, and he's right behind Jeff, and he's got Gary Eschen pressuring him pretty badly every lap. So, you know, he's trying to fight for a position, but you can't put yourself in a bad spot. Because Gary Eschen, he's no slouch. He'll take over that spot in a heartbeat.
As we go back up to the front here, Will Eastman, because of all that battling behind him, was definitely looking like he had a nice pad, but right now he's only it is under a half a second behind him and closing. Bryan Hacker ever so slightly faster on each lap and is just closing down that gap, and then Matt Dula is there in waiting, trying to get himself up just a little bit closer, as Bryan Hacker has a little bit of an issue going into turn 1.
Yeah, Bryan Hacker, he's closing ever so slightly. We had just under a tenth on that last lap. I mean, that's all it takes, just those little tiny little chips off of them. You're going to close the door. it kind of gets that first place guy or the guy in front of you kind of thinking like, how is he closing? Where is he getting me at? How is he faster? Is it corner entry, corner exit, and start second guessing himself.
As we cut to the chopper to watch, Matt Dula had a little bit of a bobble coming out of turn 2. And that opened up the door for Ryan Johnson to get around. Randy Nichols takes advantage while he was forced up onto that high line. And now the 17 has dropped his way back to where he started in 5th. As
we have a battle for the lead.
Bryan Hacker closes it down and takes advantage of those slightly fresher tires to get himself down below Will Eastman. And if I'm Will Eastman, I'm going to back off a corner rather than fight here, because this battle is making it to where Ryan Johnson, he is now in the mix here, as he is not able to get completely clear as the 13 gets a little bit hot into the corner, gets into the 11. The 38 gives him a little bit of a tag, but not quite enough to bring out the caution. But Will Eastman from the lead into second, and we're back to the top 5 all being within about a second, and I had to mention a caution. As it's that beautiful side-by-side action as John Cross gives a little bit of a love tap to the 47 of Rodney Huntoon, and a little bit more of a tap afterwards. So that is probably going to be the end of the night for the 10. But let's see. Our leaders going to make their way in. These tires are about 20 laps old, so again, we're going to see the field come in, so it's going to be a matter of who decides to take all 4. As
you got 2 staying out right now, Adam Gable and Justin Rigsby.
Let's get those laps led, boys. Those bonus points coming to effect at some point. So we'll go ahead and watch the race off of pit road as Bryan Hacker is barely going to beat out the 13. And that is definitely the difference between... No, it looks like everybody only took right sides, because that's only a 13-second stop at most for everyone out on track. So these guys, we're officially at the point to where it's better to take 2 than it is to just roll the dice without them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that basically everybody was on the same pit cycle here, or thinking whenever they went into pit road here. I bet everybody's like, I'm going to do 2 tires and kind of trick everybody, and everybody else went with 2 tires as well.
It only works when you're the only person doing it. But where we are at in this race, we are starting lap 73 under caution. We're kind of reaching the point that we may not see more pit stops, because track position is going to be more important than that fresh rubber.
Yeah, just shy of 50 laps to go here, and these guys are going to start battling even harder. I mean, we've already seen some pretty good battles going on here. But these guys, I think they're going to amp it up. They're going to take it to just one more level higher. So, and Jonathan Cross came across that said he is jumped. So, looks like he's not going to be out for a while.
All right, we are stacked up side by side. Justin Rigsby, the lone person to not take tires. 23 lap difference between them. And he's starting on the inside line. He's probably hoping to catch everybody sleeping, so he's able to get himself all the way up and clear before turn 1, as we are ready to go. And he is off, as he didn't the cars behind him got a better jump than he did, but he is going to be able to get himself clear as Justin Rigsby manages to get it up, but the 11 of Bryan Hacker manages to get to that outside, looking like he might have been able to try to make a move, but Will Eastman is going to force him up a little bit higher. But Will Eastman is going to be held up ever so slightly as the 81 gets a little bit loose. Are we going to go 3 wide? We are going into turn 3. Will Eastman gets himself down below. Bryan Hacker thinks better of it, and rightfully so, as we're back to 2 wide, but Justin Rigsby falling back on that outside line. Now Matt Dula is taking over second place, and Bryan Hacker, he's being held up a little bit by the 81 with the 75 of Mike Alexander on that low line, looking to take over third as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, Mike Alexander just kind of bounced back from where he was at. He's moved back up, sitting there up around third and fourth right now, depending on if he can get by him or not. But he is doing a great job right there on that bottom line. He was on the prominent line this time, so he was able to go. He got Randy Nichols right behind him, trying to push him through, trying to get this inside lane to moving.
And we are starting to see everybody do everything they can to get down to that low line. Not only because the low line's preferred, but the 81 on that gamble, it might not have been the right move to where Bryan Hacker's being held up. Gary Eschen is now down beside him coming out of turn 2, and that's going to be the goal, is just do everything you possibly can to help that person in front of you get around so you can be the next one to make that move, as Ryan Johnson is now right behind Gary Eschen, trying to keep Bryan Hacker on that upper line, doing a great job as Gary Eschen, I think he's about a lap away from getting himself completely clear and fully into 5th place, as we see the 69 get a little bit loose out of the corner.
Yeah, these guys are fighting pretty hard. Randy Nichols is sitting there. Falling got cleared. Gary Eschen now clears him, and Ryan Johnson now going to start the battle. Bryan Hacker was able to drop down low, finally get a spot on the bottom side, and these guys are trying now to battle back through the field.
As we see Dustin Shepard in the bottom of the frame there just get a little bit loose on corner entry, as he is now working to try to get himself up into 8th and not leave any openings for the 81 to drop down low. But we're also seeing Travis Hoefler and Jeff Bergener. These two are still going at it. And the 20 gets a little loose on exit. That's going to scare the 21 off just a little bit. And they're going to hold on and keep battling, as the 21 should be able to slot in now. But Justin Rigsby, he is falling as Dustin Shepard gets himself up into 8th. But all this battling right now, these front 2, that was the best thing for them as we start lap 86 of 125. These guys, nice comfortable gaps, no pressure behind them, as we see the 13 tag the wall, and that's not going to do too much other than maybe cut a 10th off the lap.
Yeah, these cars are tanks, man. You can slap the wall. If you look at on our camera angles, you can look at the outside of these cars. The right sides are all dented. They're all flat spotted, beat up. But I mean, these cars are, like I said, tanks. They just keep on going.
Yeah, they're looking. He's looking fine for now. But they're closing in, and despite the fact that at this point we're about 16 laps worth of green flag run onto these tires, they're only about 0.3 of a second slower than they were from their best laps of the night.
Let's see, we got Will Eastman. I mean, his fastest lap was 19.91, and he's sitting at 20.18. Matt Dula ran a little bit faster at 20.15, so they're not too far off with their fast times, like you just said. We got Randy Nichols diving it down low underneath Mike Alexander. trying to get by. Gary Eschen's waiting in the wings to follow Randy Nichols. It's one of those things, follow the leader when somebody gets underneath him.
And you know what? That's exactly it. As Gary Eschen, he's looking like he's going to go to the outside, gets a little too close to the 69 for comfort. But that is what these guys are going to have to do if they're wanting to get themselves into a fighting position going forward into this race. Is actually we're seeing a little bit of closeness going on right behind them, as Bryan Hacker is looking for any opportunity he can to get that nose down below Ryan Johnson in the 38. And these guys, they're definitely getting a little bit racier right now as Bryan Hacker tries to get underneath, manages to get it done, and they're going in a little close going into turn 3 as Bryan Hacker manages to get himself into the perfect position to take over 6th from Ryan Johnson, but he is not giving up and trying to get as much of a run. It looks like he may have slapped the wall ever so slightly coming out of turn 2. But now we have side by side between Gary Eschen and Randy Nichols right in front of him. And again, for our podium sitters right now, this is what they're wanting to see to be able to keep this race well in hand.
And we're about to hit lap 95 of 125, so we're about 30 laps shy of closing this one out. They are going wild here. Gary Eschen's door to door. Randy Nichols coming off the corner there. These guys are trying to battle for every spot possible on the track. There is more take than give right now on this track.
As we're coming out of turn 4, Gary Eschen, he's not really able to get too much of a run into the corners as you would like to see, to where this side-by-side battle, Randy Nichols is making that outside line work. Granted, he is leaving absolutely no room through the turns for Gary Eschen to make a mistake. But at the end of the day, again, this is what Will Eastman and Matt Dula want to see.
They bounce coming off the corner there. Good thing the Netco gods were on their side for that one.
But as this battle rages on, ultimately Gary Eschen, as we see him get a little bit loose, and that's going to open up the door for more people as we see Ryan Johnson get about 45 degrees through the turn. But Gary Eschen being on that low line as long as he was, that is going to make those tires just scream for mercy as Bryan Hacker gets himself down below, and that's going to open up the door eventually for Ryan Johnson to try to make the same move. But after sitting and watching Randy Nichols make that outside line work, it honestly has turned into a viable line at this point.
I think the older the tires get, I think these guys are able to kind of use that second lane. The grip kind of goes away for that low line. They have the 100% advantage. I think there's it still has the advantage of being the low line, shorter way around the track. But the outside line can fight back a little bit more.
As these guys are now working on running a train past Gary Eschen, as Ryan Johnson is now probably about a turn away, but no, he manages to get clear on corner entry. And now Dustin Shepard, he is the next one trying to get around Gary Eschen, as he actually has it. Will he have it out of turn 4? Not quite there, but he is doing everything he can to try to get clear. But it looks like Gary Eschen may have figured out that outside line.
I mean, you get that moment, that one little brief moment of, I think I can get up, and then you lose it. I mean, you get that little bit of momentum going on the back straightaway, and then they just kill it through the center of the corner and take over on the bottom lane. as we see Gary Eschen getting passed once again by Dustin Shepard. So right now, the next good battle on the track, it looks like
it's
gonna
the
be,
battle
right
for third.
Mike Alexander.
He looks strong early in the race, but he seems to be struggling as the tires age ever so slightly. We're going to be coming to the line with 20 to go, and he is now the one slightly holding up the pack as Bryan Hacker gets himself down below Randy Nichols, as the 75 is still doing what he can to fight, but the more he slips and slides out of the corners, the worse those Hoosiers are going to be, as we see Randy Nichols seeing if maybe he would be able to get the run coming out of turn 4. Not quite. But, oh, we see the 69 get a little love there. But that's going to open up the door for Ryan Johnson to try to get himself up into 4th. He is down below Bryan Hacker. Is he going to be able to get the run out of 4? Not quite. They're going to go side by side going into 1. But Ryan Johnson has that brilliant car control, as he is giving absolutely no space to be able to run that corner as wide as they touch. The 11 gets thrown up towards the wall. He manages to hang on to it, but that's going to give Ryan Johnson the opportunity to get himself up into 4th permanently. But now Randy Nichols is thinking, you know what? My turn's next, as he gets a little loose coming out of the corner. But we're starting to see a bit of a stack up here, as we have 4 cars, and we're going to go 3 wide off the corner.
They're not giving up right now. Bryan Hacker and Dustin Shepard, they're going at it right now. Ryan Johnson is now trying to track down Mike Alexander. We got some good battles going on throughout the track right now,
as we are 15 laps to go, and these guys are showing it, as Mike Alexander under pressure from Ryan Johnson. All of these guys are starting to stack up. We're going to see who is good at saving those extra millimeters on the rubber and who is going to be able to take advantage of it. As we see Ryan Johnson, he is getting that nose down below Mike Alexander. Is he going to be able to get the run off the corner to be able to stay side by side? Mike Alexander gets a good run, not quite able to clear him, but Ryan Johnson is fighting to get himself another podium tonight.
Yeah, I was watching him. Mike Alexander bobbled just a slide is coming off the corner. Had to get up out of the throttle, and that just gave Ryan Johnson just enough of an advantage to get underneath him. And that's all she wrote. Gary Eschen now is going to be the one battling right now, trying to take over that 4th spot from Mike Alexander, and he does. He's able to clear him going out in turn 1.
As we are definitely seeing a game of inches with some of these guys, and it looks like Mike Alexander, he is, I want to go to the blimp here, because he is getting a little slideways coming out of the corners and managing to make it work for the most part. He is not losing as many positions as you would think, seeing a car that loose. But he's taking advantage of whatever he possibly can. And we are going to go ahead, get ourselves back up here, as Ryan Johnson is under pressure from Gary Eschen, as the 2 leaders. Will Eastman has well over a second over Matt Dula, and Matt Dula is about a second and a half in front of this battle for 3rd.
Yeah, I was just watching it. It looked like Gary Eschen's back bumper was deep inside of Ryan Johnson's rear bumper. So these guys are battling pretty hard. We have 9 laps to go here to settle who's going to get this final podium spot.
And Gary Eschen looking to throw one down the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He is definitely going to get side by side with Ryan Johnson, and they're going to just keep battling it out. It looks like Ryan Johnson's trying to get as wide of an arc on quarter entry to see if he can get that good run coming out of turn 2. He manages to pull back in front, but I think it's only a matter of time before Gary Eschen gets that final spot on the podium. And is he going to be able to do it out of turn 4? Yes, he is.
We have 7 laps to go. Gary Eschen wasn't able to 100% clear him. He does now. Ryan Johnson's going to try the crossover right here. Just not enough momentum to get that crossover done at this point. So he's going to have to try to hope Gary makes a mistake and bobble so he can get back to the rear bumper.
But the longer these guys battle, Bryan Hacker is slowly closing up that gap. It's about 0.4 of a second at this point, and Dustin Shepard right there behind him. And I'm not sure if Matt Dula had a little bit of a bobble, because now the gap is only about 0.75 of a second and closing to where Ryan Johnson and Gary Eschen, these guys are now only about 0.6 away with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, Matt Dula, he's just trying to hit his marks. We got 5 laps to go. He just wants to hit his mark and survive right now. He sees Gary Eschen closing the gap right now. We're down to less than 0.4 of a second, and he just wants these 4 laps to click off.
With this few of laps, all he has to do is position that car in the exact right position, as Gary Eschen is right there on the bumper trying not to give him the nudge. But let's see if it is possible for him, as Gary Eschen actually blinks out for a moment as Matt Dula gets a little loose. Gary Eschen's not quite capable of taking advantage of that bobble out of the turn, but he is going to try to get down below on corner exit. They touch, they hold on to it, but Gary Eschen, this battle is going to open up the door for Ryan Johnson to possibly get around, and these guys are looking to run that train down low, as we're now seeing Bryan Hacker enter the fray. He has got his bumper down below Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson gets a little bit sideways, and him and Dustin Shepard connect, but they managed to hold on to it. This is an amazing battle, but I gotta give it to Will Eastman with the white flag flying. Just cruised to the win tonight after all of this, and we're seeing these battles go on behind as Bryan Hacker manages to get that 3rd spot, with Gary Eschen finishing 2nd with all of the chaos behind him. And Matt Dula is gone. Did he blink out? But he's being counted as 4th. So right now, as we are finishing up the race, these guys definitely made those last laps interesting, as we have Will Eastman taking home the win tonight. Gary Eschen in 2nd, Bryan Hacker 3rd, Matt Dula in 4th, Ryan Johnson 5th, 6th is Dustin Shepard, 7th is Adam Gable, 8th Travis Hoefler, 9th Mike Alexander, 10th Matt Cook, and 11th Adam Boltemere.
12th will be Justin Rigsby, 13th will be Robbie Clavey, 14th be Jeff Mathis, 15th is Shane Loveridge, 16th is Rodney Huntoon, 17th is Randy Nichols, 18th is Jeff Bergener, 19th is Jonathan Cross, 20th is Jesse Womack, and Gage Kellum is 21st.
All right, I think it is officially time for us to go ahead and get our race winner up here, Mr. Will Eastman, once I can find him, because I am terrible at finding names for some odd reason. There we go. All right, time to chat with our race winner, Mr. Will Eastman. How are you feeling after that one?
Whew, that was a long last run there, but felt pretty good in practice there, and I really struggled in qualifying. I thought being back there with all the top guys and the low invert, it was going to be tough there, but it was a good run.
Well, I mean, you did a fantastic job. You played the pit strategy just right. Were you planning on or did you know that everybody else was going with that 2-tire stop, or were you thinking like only maybe a couple people would try that on that last one?
No, I figured everybody would take 2 tires there. I stayed out in that one caution. That only 4 cars stayed out, and I really thought that was going to hurt me pretty bad. But we ran just enough laps to bring everybody down pit road, so that worked out for us.
No, it was one of those. I'll admit, when it comes to North Wilkesboro.
So, I mean, what did you feel like was the race-winning move? Do you think that was the defining moment of the night?
I thought it was because I was running like 4th and it got me up to 2nd there. But that last restart when Rigsby was on like 30 lap tires and he started on the bottom, I knew he would slide up, and it was going to be the race for the win there to see who can get by him first, and it worked out in our favors.
No, it was an absolutely great strategy call because it put you towards the front for the. Will, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
All right, apparently just Adam can't hear me. So it was just the non-stop. It put you in the right position to be able to get you to the front at the tail end, despite the fact that normally North Wilkesboro is an impossible track to pass on. Apparently these cars make every short track better.
Yeah, I love this place. I mean, tires definitely help out a lot too, but you can charge the corners hard, or you can kind of take a high route and get a good run off. I mean, there's different, depending on who you're racing against and where you are, inside or outside, you can run this track a lot of different ways. So as soon as I got out front, I knew I had to push and get away from Matt. Matt was pretty fast there, and everybody else. And once I started pulling away, the last like 5 laps, I was sliding all over the place. So I'm glad it was over.
I mean, all the battling you had going on behind you had to have been just the most glorious thing to see in your mirror.
Absolutely. I ran, Matt and I were pretty close there for first like 10 laps after that green, and then I actually made a mistake and hit the curb in 3 and 4. He closed a little bit, and I just knew I had to run my line, and once the last few laps when they battled, I just backed way off, so I didn't do anything crazy like I did last week.
Hey, it works out. You get the first win of the season, and we continue our streak of solo winners, and we have yet to get a repeat. But the question is, where are you thinking you're going to be for the rest of the season?
Well, hopefully back here next week and end that drought. But we had some good runs so far this year, and we picked up a lot last year, so hopefully we can still knock down a few more wins and just consistently stay in the top 5, and we'll see where we're at in the end of the year.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. It was, again, a great run. Didn't really get, once we got deep into that final run, didn't really have many opportunities to look at you because it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, I just tried to take it easy there and not make any mistakes and burn the tires up, so.
Yeah, like you said, sadly, since there wasn't too much of an action up there, you just kind of, pulled away and kind of was out there doing your thing, kind of focused on other people. But, we mentioned you quite a bit out there pulling away from the field. And, I mean, for us in the booth, it was an easy win. But for you, you're battling every single lap, ensuring that you hit every mark just right to keep, at that time, Matt Doolittle behind you because he was the one trailing you for the most part on that last run. So I know it's a struggle trying to stay up there because, it's hard to hit your marks lap in and lap out and not make a mistake. So congratulations, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good luck next week. We'll see you for New Hampshire.
Awesome. We'll see you then.
Thank you, sir. All right, on to Mr. Gary Eschen, another person we have yet to talk to this season. Gary, how are you doing after what was, I'll admit, a little crazy of a run for you?
Oh, yeah, it was a really crazy race the whole time. There's battles everywhere and a lot of good, clean racing tonight, and that's how it should be every week.
I mean, we got to see you in some pretty insane battles. Were you white-knuckled pretty much the whole night?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Especially on the longer runs, you're battling. It just wants to step out on you, and you don't want to wash up and run into them. And yeah, it was pretty intense about the whole race. So, I was actually happy when a couple of those cautions came out just to get a break for a second.
Yeah, I've been in a couple races like that, and you just, try your hardest to race, and it's just non-stop. You don't get a break, and yeah, like you said, those cautions just like you can finally breathe for a second.
Yeah, and we came up just a little bit short. If I had, man, I need 5 more laps. I think I was on a roll there at the end, and I think I could have got to Eastman and had a chance for a win there. But cars didn't play in my favor tonight, so we'll settle for a 2 with Team Jordan tonight.
No, it again, you gave us some of the most entertaining moments of the night. Just, it looked like towards the tail end of the final run, you seemed to figure out the outside line, because as we went along, it seemed like that outside line really became way more viable than it was early in a run.
Yeah, I was talking to Travis there during the race, and on one of the restarts, it's like, man, I really hope that this outside line rolls as good as it did at the beginning, because the outside line was stacked at the time, and I'm like, all these guys are capable of making this outside line go, but then when I went to restart, I was ninth, so it didn't even matter.
You know what? It's still one of those nights. You made up 6 positions from qualifying. Get yourself a podium, the first one of the season. What do you think you have for us next week at the Mile of New Hampshire?
Oh, I think we'll be pretty good there too. As long as it's not a road course or dirt, or a 1.5-mile track, those cookie cutter things, I don't care for those either. But as long as it's a short track or a shorter track, I think we'll be all right.
That one hurts. I love those cookie cutters because they love me.
But they're so boring.
I won't argue that one. But no, you had a great run on probably what is one of the most iconic of the short tracks that we're going to visit this season, and a points night that cannot be scoffed at.
Yeah, actually, pre-race, I was messing with some of the admins, and I was like, man, why is this not one of our showdown events? Like, we need 200 laps at this track. 125 is not enough.
I mean, the next showdown is Richmond, so...
Hey, I like that track. I'm good there, too, so...
Oh, I'm glad somebody does. I hate that track. I love the broadcast. It's a great track because it's a lot of beating and banging, and the track puts on a phenomenal show. But me as a driver, no. Me and Richmond do not get along at all.
Yeah, you got to be a little easy off coming off a 2 for sure. It can get a little tricky there, but other than that, usually Richmond brings in a lot of good racing. So when is that race? In a couple weeks?
It is 2 weeks from now.
Perfect. Well, hopefully I talk to you guys again next week.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. Great run. Congratulations. And off to celebrate the first podium of the season.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Take care, sir.
You too.
All right. And then we have another first-time visitor for this season. And again, of course, I can't find... Oh, I literally just had another first-time visitor for the booth. A third place. Mr. Hacker, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I feel like we could have done a little bit better tonight, but I'm happy to get back up to a podium spot.
Man, you had to fight back after that last restart. I mean, you got stuck on the outside, no place to go, got pushed back, got little bumps thrown back. It was a long last little section there for you, a stint for you. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the restart, I thought we were going to be in pretty good shape because the 81 on the inside was on old tires, and I thought we'd be able to sneak around them on the outside, and that's not how that restart played out, and ended up getting stuck behind them and knocked back to, I think, 7th or 8th, and then slowly started working our way back up, and then got hit a couple times along the way. I don't think it was anything malicious, just short track stuff, and So after that, and I got shuffled back again, I decided I was just going to take any spot that was given to me. I was done giving. I was all going to be take from there, and it worked out okay. There were a couple of hairy moments, but it was pretty fun, though.
No, it was a lot of very close racing. You may have swapped paint with probably about 4 different people through that last run, but it definitely made for entertaining viewing for us. But I commend you on keeping your cool and managing to get yourself up into third.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was fun, but I was concerned a few times that we were all going to end up in the wall. But everybody was pushing the limits, but nobody kind of overstepped their bounds, I don't think. So all in all, I think, and you know, tires were a huge deal tonight. I don't know if anyone's talked about that at all, but I think a lot of people burnt their stuff up, and I still felt decent at the end, so that helped me get some runs. But the hole wasn't always there when I had a run, so I either tried to make one or tried to wait until one came open. And with about 10 to go, I knew that I didn't really have time to sit around anymore.
You could tell. You had the same mentality as other people, but definitely the savings that you did on the tires obviously was the right call. And yeah, the fight between you and Ryan Johnson there for a little while was fantastic. You guys looking like you were about to really just, I didn't think you guys were going to survive that.
He owed me one from last season, so I think we're pretty squared up now.
I mean, it was really tough racing. I mean, you know, you guys were banging side by side. People on the outside, you know, some people would give a little bit of room, some people wouldn't give any room. I mean, it was a great night for short track corners. I mean, you guys proved that this track is meant for street stocks, and I think only street stocks. Maybe some, you know, maybe other smaller cars like that, but yeah, you guys put on a hell of a show, man, and you fought like crazy. Get yourself back up there on that last run after numerous setbacks. So, man, I mean, you gotta hang your hat tonight, knowing that you did a job well done with what was given to you.
Yeah, we're happy to get back to the podium. Wish that final restart would have worked out a little better. I think we could have challenged for the win, but we've had, I don't know, some pretty bad luck, I guess, to start the season. So to finally kind of finish a race out and have a decent finish feels pretty good.
No, podium position is definitely going to help you with the points. But next week we're off to New Hampshire, a little bit bigger than we normally see. So how do you think you're going to do on the flat track?
It's a good question. Normally I like flat tracks, but I don't really like how big it is. I'm sure the draft is going to come into play, and I'm not a big fan of drafting. So we'll see. I'm hoping that maybe with how technical the corners are, it might separate the pack a little bit, but I guess we'll find out. I don't think I've ever run these cars at New Hampshire.
I haven't either, so I can't say if it's going to come into play. Favorite car on New Hampshire is actually the modifieds.
Yeah, those are a blast.
But no, it was a great run from you tonight. You probably need to wind down for a little bit, and we'll let you get to celebrating the first podium of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, take care, sir.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that is gonna do it for us tonight. Didn't really have any opportunities tonight because of all of the action to thank the title sponsor of tonight's race, J&G Hardwood Flooring. And I have to shout them out. They are a small family-owned business started in 2005, located in Christiana, Tennessee, and serves all of Middle Tennessee. Owners Josh and Brandon Klizneski have a combined 35 years of experience to serve all of your flooring needs, from new construction, remodels, or even small repairs. Make sure and reach out to them for estimates. But we are off to New Hampshire next week. Unfortunately, I will not be there because work is sending me off on a to a conference. So you guys will have Adam and Nick Adams, who is very energetic, but you guys will be in good hands next week. It will be an amazing race because I have a feeling that the street stocks are going to be, I would say I would probably absolutely love the street stocks at New Hampshire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic race. It's one of those flat tracks where these cars are going to use the every inch of it. You're going to see these cars rolling pretty hard through these corners, and I think there's going to be at least two lanes of traffic trying to make it through there. So I can't wait to see what happens next week. But that'll do it for us tonight. That is Josh Laston. I am Adam Wood, and we are Ghost Fire Media. I'll see you later.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghost Fire Media Network.